What's going on, everybody? Welcome to, wow, 2022. I don't know if you're in the same age group as I'm in, but I can honestly tell you that this is actually a very unique time. It seems like these years are happening very fast. And so, what I wanted to do is just really carve out some time. And to be honest, I think this is more for me. I think this is more for me than anything else because I do have a lot of conversations about the foundation of love is a parable, my dreams, my visions, things like that that I desire to truly do. And I think it would be great to kind of engage into a conversation or have moments where people can come together and truly talk about their thoughts and passions. So I'm going to try to do this at least once a month where you guys will get an opportunity to have a conversation with me about your thoughts, your passions. I can share with you about our dreams and visions as it relates to love is a parable, things that we're moving forward, but even me, Dwayne Garnett, as an individual. I think that sometimes when we get so caught up in pushing our mission, pushing our vision, pushing whatever it is that we lose focus on us as individuals, as humans. And we need to make sure that we're doing everything that is taking care of us. So we're going to talk about thoughts and passions. So, few questions that we always get. One of the things that I always get is, what is the purpose of love is a parable? Well, the purpose of love is a parable is we truly desire to bring people together through love. Now, when we talk about love, we actually have a learning paradigm that help individuals truly understand what love is about. And the way that we do that is through value-based education. And I get that question a lot. Well, what is value-based education? We help people understand or uncover the things that they value. A lot of us have values, but most importantly, a lot of us have values that we don't even recognize, that we don't even know that we value. And a lot of times those values don't come into play until we're like in this unique protect mode where we're sitting there saying, you know what, something is in danger. Let me respond. Let me act now on that. So what we do is work with people to help them understand what it is that they value. Now, it's not our business to know exactly what your values are or to judge them, but we do help people understand that it is your individual responsibility to know what you value. Why is this so important? Because the things that we value shape the way that we see ourselves, others, and the decisions that we make. A lot of us don't realize that we're making decisions that are connected to our values. So that's the bigger thing right there. Connecting, helping us understand that we are making decisions based on the things that we value. So we have worked with a lot of corporate partners on that. And we have had a great successful run for the first 4 years, but we do want to do more, meaning we want to get in more corporate spaces. We do want to partner with more educational entities to help them understand that. Now, so since we help people understand their values, I have a very important question for you. And that question is, do you value you? How do you know if you're valuing you? Do you value you? How do you know if you are valuing you? I hope that you really take some time to answer that question for yourself. Like, do I value myself? How do I know that I value myself? Do you truly consider you in the decision-making process? Like, for instance, a lot of times, a lot of us say that we want to have some level of success. But when you're looking at that level of success, do you see yourself as the person being successful? Or do you see someone totally different? So, do you value yourself? And how do you know that you're valuing yourself? We want to really get to that point because as we start to have a lot of these conversations about things that we value, if you don't value you, how then do you expect or demand someone else to value you as well? Or let's flip it. How do you know if someone else is valuing you if you haven't taken the time to value you? A lot of things can have a negative response if we haven't taken the time to really cultivate that relationship with ourselves or really uncover how do we feel, how do we think, how do we look at certain things. How do values influence us, or where do we get our values from? A lot of us get our values from our upbringing. And when we think about our upbringing, we typically start to think about, okay, this has to be something that my parents have done or my grandparents have done. And that's not necessarily true. When we start talking about your upbringing could be any experiences that are extensions of your community through your entire life. And see, this is where it gets a little tricky. There could be one offs. There could be one off occurrences that have happened in your life that have caused you to look at things a little differently, but that was still part of your upbringing. There could be certain things that have happened to you that could have happened by a coach, could have happened by a pastor, could have happened by a random friend, could have happened by the secretary at the school, could have happened by a teacher. All of that could be part of your upbringing. And sometimes we borrow values, meaning that we begin to value things that other people value and we don't even know why. It happens to us a lot of times, and that's where traditions come into play and all of that. And we begin to make our decisions based on those values. Most importantly, our values shape how we see ourselves, which means that we develop a concept of who we believe we are based off of responses and interactions of other individuals. So this is very important to understand, because if you make a decision, right, based off of your perceived response to other people, you will never get an opportunity to understand, okay, who am I? Who am I without other people's responses? So that's why you do want to take some time. You do want to take a moment to really carve back those things and say, okay, what do I value? And am I even included in that value? So then the next question we get a lot of times is, Jay, okay, well, what happens when we get these values? We put our values in what is called a sacred box. So let's go all the way back. For the first 2 years of our lives, if we go with a traditional upbringing, typically it's a lot of no's. It's like, nope, don't do this, don't do that. Stop, all of that. So the reason why most parents do this is because we do have the intention to protect our young, but we also are trying to shape them with the survival skills to be a respectable, basically a citizen that thrives, whatever that may be, whatever variation of that. But we're looking to protect our child, but also show them the skills necessary to survive and maintain. Okay. With that, we are also being told to not trust our natural born instinct. So a lot of us begin to question the decisions that we make based off of how we were shaped during our developmental years. So a lot of us begin to second guess the decisions that we make because our initial introduction into this world was a lot of no's. And so it created a dependency on our village to determine what is right, to determine what is wrong. So you can imagine if someone encountered a flawed system, or someone encountered a system that had unclear standards of what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. The list goes on and on. But what we tend to do for us, period, is our most innermost thoughts, our true values, we begin to tuck them away and protect them. We only share them with very few people. We don't want a lot of people to touch the things that we value. So we begin to tuck them away deep inside of who we are. And then we begin to develop this pseudo representation or the pseudo persona of who we are to protect these values. As we go through life, we gain more values. As we gain more values, we begin to protect these values. And to be quite honest, some of these values, we forget what they are. And so we know how to protect them, but we don't know how to recognize what it is that we value. This typically comes out in a shutdown. This is usually when someone has said something and it's either offensive or we just don't like it and we shut down. This is usually when we begin to become attitudinal. This is when there is some type of escalation in our voice, some type of climax in some type of escalation of conflict tends to take place. Either it's external or internal. But what happens here is when someone goes near the things that we value, that we place in our sacred box, we basically have an internal security system that basically shuts down to protect the things that we value. Over time, we begin to develop a habit of protection, but we don't develop the habit of recognizing what those values are and how they may be influencing the things that we say or do. How does this impact us? Well, this can impact us in our everyday life on so many different levels, from the decisions that we make as far as purchasing decisions, where we want to live, what type of clothes we want to wear, what type of school we want to go to, what type of car that we drive. But it also goes into our social interconnections, where it begins to affect the type of people that we want to be around, or how we believe we should act. What is appropriate behavior? What is the standard of excellence? The list goes on, how these values shape the way that we see ourselves, shape the way that we see others, but also the decisions that we make. So one of the things that I would like to challenge you guys to do is really start to jot down the things that you value. When you jot down the things that you value, you will begin to determine how these things are truly influencing your decisions, truly influencing the things that are happening in your life. Okay? So that's going to be one of those levels of homework, is really spend time with you, understanding the things that you value. And you want to go a step further and ask yourself why. Why do I value these things? Why do I look at these things this way? What is it about it? But also, if you're not on your list, meaning if you haven't put yourself on the list of values, please do. Make sure that you're going to spend some time with you, put you on there so that you can spend some time saying, okay, I value me. How do I know that I value me? So that you can be able to respond to that. So what we're going to continue to do is have these conversations, like I told you, at least once a month, where we're just going to start talking about thoughts and passions. But your passions begin with your values. Your thoughts are shaped a lot of times with the things that you value. How are you looking at you? Make sure that you have a standard moving forward of valuing you, trusting you, acknowledging you, embracing you. Make sure you start making that part of your value system, is including you in it. And so the next time we talk, we'll make sure to include some other things, okay? Well, that's it. I really didn't want to take too much time, and my goal is to always have this under 15 minutes or less, because I'm not trying to spend a whole bunch of time talking about it, but I do want to give you little things to think about as we go forward and say, okay, am I truly valuing these things, okay? Other than that, you guys have a wonderful Sunday.